Hey, what's good? Over the summer, DC released their brand new Superman movie in theaters. As we all know, it was a massive hit and really revived the DC name when rebooting their franchise. Director and new CEO of DC Studios, James Gunn, really seemed to understand what these characters meant to the fans. After all, he did properly bring these comic book characters to life. Nevertheless, this reminded me of the dark ages of DC. The times where you would have to hide in the shadows and be nervous to admit that you're a real fan. Since if you didn't, you'd face the repercussions for it due to the movies they were releasing at the time. Welcome to the Snyderverse, a disconnected, poorly scripted, and weird set of DC films that Warner Brothers try to push as their new cinematic universe. Many of us saw this as a ploy for Warner Brothers to compete with Marvel, to which we were all right, because every time they tried controlling the direction for a film, it ended up ruining the movie. Suicide Squad and Justice League were great examples of that, which can be reflected on their low scores on Rotten Tomatoes. See, Warner Brothers didn't really care about setting up these characters for a larger story. Instead, they only wanted to rush out new projects just cause Marvel dropped the hottest new picture that week, thus resulting in weird changes like cutting out essential parts of the story or making the film more like the Avengers. Although Warner Brothers were the main people to blame, some of the directors they hired to develop these films created them in a way that disconnected the fans from the franchise. So with these two issues in mind, they began taking L after L after L. Now, I'm not doing a complete retrospective on the DCEU. I plan to do that later down the line. For now, I want to discuss the man that started it all and the two films that he made that in my opinion led to the downfall of DC. The man we're talking about is Zack Snyder, a director most known for his bold and gritty take of films. He'd recently come off from the success of 300 and Watchmen, so he needed a new movie to direct. Luckily for him, a new DC project was in the works. See, David Goyer and Christopher Nolan would send a script of a realistic take of Superman to Warner Brothers. I'm sure that was a good idea. They liked the idea, but needed a director as Nolan did not want to direct another superhero film. This is where they found Snyder and liked his approach to filmmaking. What they failed to realize is that Watchmen had its fair share of criticisms from the fans, thus setting the precedent of Snyder being a controversial director. So, it came to no surprise that when it came to his Superman movie, Man of Steel, releasing, it gained tons of criticism from fans. Although this was the case, Warner Brothers was so eager to start a cinematic universe that they pushed Snyder to develop more films, ultimately jump-starting the DCEU. His next film was Batman vs Superman, and trust me, it wasn't any better. So before we dive into why these films are terrible, be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe for more content like this. Also, while you're at it, be sure to check out my Letterboxd, Instagram, and Twitter, all linked down below. If you haven't watched either of these films, be sure to go do so right now before watching this video. Don't worry, I'll wait. For those of you that have stayed or returned, thank you. One last thing, I will be making a lot of comparisons to the new James Gunn film, as I feel like he did a lot right with the character. It does have his fair share of criticisms, but this is my opinion, not yours. Deal with it. With all that out the way, let's finally dive into Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman. The film opens up with the basic Superman story. You know, Kal-El being born, Krypton being destroyed, his parents setting him to Earth, yada yada yada. However, this time, Timothy Jones over here thinks he's that guy and wants to take over Krypton. He pretty much is a Viltrumite and solely wanted the fittest to live. So he decided to do a coup d'etat, but Superman's father disagreed with him, thus causing him to steal the skull of Natsupoi from Zetsubo no Shima and embed it within Superman's DNA before sending him off. Mr. Tough Guy over here gets tight at that and kills Superman's dad. The Kryptonians then send him to the Phantom Zone as punishment while everyone just accepts their fate. All of this takes place within the first 20 minutes of the movie. Why was it dragged? Who knows? Maybe Snyder wanted an alien war movie instead of a superhero film. Also, this introduction has so many issues. In fact, the whole tone of it is the main problem of this movie. It doesn't feel like Superman. If I'm comparing this to the recent Superman film, where it's all colorful and bright, truly setting the tone of how great of a person Superman is, to this where I feel like I'm about to watch an alien serial killer destroy Earth. Seriously, why is everything so gritty and dark? It doesn't give off Superman vibes at all. How did someone take such inspiring stories like All-Star Superman or Superman's Birthright and turned him into Homelander? It just feels so off. Now, I know it's Snyder's thing to make long and dark movies, but to be a great director, you have to understand the character you're making the film for. The people who prefer this over the newest film just don't understand the Superman character and instead want another Omni-Man or Homelander clone. To be real with y'all, this film has the right building blocks to be a good Batman film. The color, the intensity, and the grittiness could have all been applied to a Batman movie and it would have worked. Huh. Never mind. Ben Affleck really saved himself from that one, didn't he? Anyways, we get a major time skip for some reason and we see an adult Clark Kent on a ship. Some oil rig is on fire and he heads over there to save the workers. Bro, no wonder why there's Auraman clips all over TikTok. This dude just stands there not saying anything. Superman would never do this. Literally, he would calm them down and tell them to follow him to safety, not just stand there with fire all over him looking like he's the Human Torch. After he saves the workers, the rig collapses, knocking him out. We then get a flashback to him getting his powers. So what was the point of having a time skip if you're gonna flash back anyways? It felt so random and pointless. Regardless, Clark wakes up, stumbles upon a house, and takes clothes from a random dude's car. By now, Superman has been on screen for a grand total of 3 minutes, and I feel horrified by him rather than hopefulness. In fact, Clark doesn't say a single word until the 32nd minute of the film. Superman should be friendly, yapping his ass off, not some secluded outcast trying to help others. That's Batman! And yes, I know he technically speaks within the flashback scenes, but at that point, why not start off his story through them? Why introduce him as an adult saving lives? It only makes the audience believe that he's a hero when we see him. Oh, and speaking of the flashbacks, we get another gripe I have with this film. You see, Clark and his classmates get into an accident, forcing him to reveal that he has powers as he saves them. You know, a Superman thing to do. However, Paul Kent gets mad at this for no reason. He even gives him the worst advice I have ever heard.
What was I supposed to do? Just let him die?
Maybe.
Oh, thank fuck David Cornsweat didn't have you. Imagine in Gun Superman, Paul Kent told Clark that his real parents define him. It would have made things so depressing and pushed Clark into a worse path. Which is why Pa is such an integral character that is impossible to mess up. But somehow, they made him even worse than you could imagine. As he practically was trying to turn Clark into a supervillain. There's no way Snyder read the right comics when making this.
What would I do if I was Superman, and then have him do something and go, yeah, that's right, that's what I get that, that's how I feel, you know, rather than, oh, I'm just some god floating above you and telling you, you know, maybe I'll help you, maybe I won't.
This dude definitely didn't read any comics. From here, Clark walks into a bar looking like Joe Goldberg. This is where I want to introduce a segment called Who's My Superman? Now, let me give you two scenarios. A, Superman protects a woman from a man who was disrespecting her, but that man doesn't take him seriously and throws an object at him. He then retaliates and destroys his car. Or B, Superman gets exposed for having parents that told him to rule over Earth, causing an angry mob to throw objects at him, but instead of retaliating, he just takes it. Now, which one you're choosing? If you said B, you're a genius, cause this guy has a nice heart, while this guy is a self-centered asshole. Following this, we get introduced to Lois. After, we get some useless exposition, she tries to aura farm, and she sees Clark as she's taking a photo of a random tower. Now, do I understand those sequence of events? No. To be honest, it feels like they just spun a wheel to decide those sequence of events. If only AI existed during that time. It would have been a lot better than the wheel. Lois then follows Clark to this alien ship. Clark explores it and she gets bodied. Clark eventually saves her and leaves her somewhere as he flies off with the ship. How did he know the location of it? Who knows? How did he know how to fly it? Who knows? Why do these writers have no idea what they're doing? 'Cause Lois then tells Morpheus everything. But, oh no, he doesn't believe her! The fact that this is coming from the guy who tried to destroy the Matrix will forever be funny. Lois then goes to another dude to publish her story. We then cut to Clark talking to his actual father's conscience. He tells his son everything about Krypton and that he sent him there to do good for the people of Earth, as he shows him his suit with the symbol of hope. This was actually a great moment and leaned more into the Superman I know and love. So from this point, you would think he'd be more caring and friendly. Nope. In fact, he actually goes on to destroy Metropolis and lets a whole room of people die in the next film. It's like the writers knew what they were doing, but still chose to fuck it up. Seriously, if they would have just made it that he began connecting with the humans more, this would have been a much better Superman movie. But nah, continue having him be Auraman. Anywho, Clark gets his suit, which causes him to lose his beard. Wait a minute. He had a beard in the previous scene. If that shoe gets rid of beards, give that shit to LeBron. I'm trying to see him without a beard. While this happens, Lois begins searching for Clark. This takes her to his parents' house, where she meets his mom, who doesn't look much older than she is. This then takes her to his dad's grave, where she runs into Clark. Clark tells the story on how his dad sacrificed himself, even though he could have clearly saved him. I don't know why they couldn't think of another way of killing him, but I digress. Lois continues to have a boring plotline, and Clark finally reunites with his mother. By now, it's been an hour into the movie, and Lois has had more scenes than Clark. Truly, it feels like this movie is more about her than Clark, as they barely give us any information about Clark and only gives us it when it's convenient for the plot. I don't even know how this got past the test screening phase, because the way they tell this story is so convoluted for no reason. They might as well name this film Lady of Reporting if it was going to revolve around Lois this much. Clark then reunites with his mom as the military prepares for an outer-worldly encounter.
I'm just speculating. But I think whoever's at the helm of that thing is looking to make a dramatic entrance.
Oh, you don't say. At least Snyder got something right. If Bowser started raining terror from the sky, they'd probably still question whether or not to take him out. Regardless, we figure out, whoa, that shit was General Zod's? Totally didn't see that coming. He pretty much threatens everyone's livelihood just so he can get to Clark. Clark then surrenders himself to the US government, but oh no, what about Lois? She knows about him too! So the FBI kidnaps her for no reason. This shit makes no sense. Clark then asks to meet Lois, even though they barely know each other. They yap for a bit, and Clark talks to the generals. They get scared of him because of the whole, oh my gosh, powerful alien trope, and Clark calms them down by agreeing to surrender to Zod. However, before he departs, he shares a moment with Lois.
Thank you
For what?
for believing in me.
Believing in what? Lois has done nothing this entire movie. You have no reason to instill this much trust into her. All she did was stalk you down for like a year. Bro, I'm telling y'all, Lois is the worst part of this movie. Nothing she does is interesting, the plot just benefits her character when needed be, and she is more of a nuisance than someone that Clark loves. Holy fuck, the MJ missions in Spider-Man PS4 were more entertaining than her character. Random alien lady then pulls up asking for Lois to come with Clark, cause you know, Lois is the love interest after all. Once they arrive to Zod's ship, he tells Superman that his dad brought him to Earth so he can conquer it and rebuild Krypton. Nonetheless, this is a Superman movie, so he doesn't oblige to Zod's offer. This part is just so dumb to me, cause one, earlier in the film, Clark's dad told him the real reason why they sent him to Earth, and not once did he mention it to Zod. If someone says something I know my dad didn't say, I'ma defend him, the fuck? 2, he acts like he wants to protect humanity as if he doesn't wreak havoc and gives 2 shits about people's safety. Like, gang, you can't just pick and choose. Bro's more indecisive than Cardi dropping another album. Anyway, we see Zod telling Clark that he killed his dad. I don't know why he couldn't just keep it a secret so Superman wouldn't have a vendetta against him, but honestly, I don't even care. He then heads towards Earth to start causing chaos. Whilst this happens, Lois has access to talk to Clark's dad somehow. He helps her and messes up the ship's system, allowing Superman to be free. Lois then escapes, Clark chases after her, and they safely land together. Then, oh no! Zod pulled up to Clark's mother's house looking for the skull of Nabsapwe! Oh yeah, forgot to tell you. Apparently, that thing is important. So Clark then does a super spear and destroys a whole car along with a gas station. I don't have to explain what's wrong with this, do I? From here, not much happens. Zod escapes, and Superman continues to destroy buildings as he fights Zod's henchmen. I can't lie, the fight scenes are hard, but man, it makes me feel like I'm watching some over-the-top blockbuster about humans versus aliens. Nothing about this screams Superman. I know I'm beating a dead horse, but bro, there's no hopefulness surrounding this film. It's just dread and fighting. Oh my gosh, this is War of the Worlds! Okay, but for real, the mindless fighting continues on for several minutes. Superman does save someone, but it feels like a pity save because, you know, the main character is Superman. Plot then takes Zod's henchmen away from Earth and has the military mess with Superman. Zod then learns that the skull is imbued within Clark's DNA. He plans to kill him and take it by any means possible. So he sends a bunch of UFOs to Earth, turning Metropolis into Roswell. The film then turns into a scene from Cloverfield. Afterwards, this happens.
Sir, I'm on with the control tower. Colonel Hardy's on his way in and he's got Superman in tow.
Superman?
The alien, sir. That's what they're calling him.
This is the most anticlimactic way into getting a super name, bro. Truly, the writers couldn't think of any other way to make this sound cool. This just sounds like one of those cheesy lines where a film has to say its title within the plot. So Superman and Lois... No, not that Superman and Lois, the shitty ones. There you go. They plan to destroy the UFO drill things with this metal poop looking thing. Metal Mario, what the fuck did you eat for that to come out? They have this theory that once it collides with a UFO, it'll summon up a black hole. Trust me, I'm as confused as you are. Thank gosh this film is almost done. Superman aura farms for a bit and destroys one of the UFO drill machines. Did I mention there are two? My bad. I just didn't care. Superman then destroys Zod's ship before he has the chance to attack Lois. Zod's henchman tries to stop the metal shit colliding with the UFO. However, it was too late as they crash their jet into the UFO, creating the black hole. But guys, what happened to Lois? Is she okay? Is what the writers attempted to do, as she just conveniently falls out the jet and Superman just saves her. Plot armor strikes again. Anyway, Zod is still alive, which means that Superman still has to fight him. Instead of stopping the truck and protecting the building, Auraman just jumps over it like it was nothing. This has to be the worst superhero of all time, bro. This dude has caused more damage than good throughout the whole film. Anyways, after some more mindless fighting and destroying the Earth's Wi-Fi, we finally reached the moment that this film has spent the last 2 hours trying to hype up. Superman, you have him! You won! Show the world why you spread hope, inspire others to believe in you, and make your dad proud!
Don't do this!
Kal-El, no!
Firstly, why couldn't you just turn his head away? Clearly you're strong enough to hold him down. It wouldn't have been that hard. Second, you could have just flung him across the room and gotten those people to safety. Snyder, why did you have to push for this scene? Lastly, I'm not even surprised. This is a terrible rendition of Superman. I could go on and on why this scene right here completely disregards Superman as a character, but I think by now you get the point. Not much happens from here other than Clark joining the Daily Planet, fully taking us to the end of the film. Since we're done with Man of Aura, surely Snyder doesn't ruin any more characters in the next film, right? This film opens with yet again another basic introduction as we see the typical Batman story. If you're watching this video, I'm sure you know what it is by now, so I'm skipping over it. Afterwards, the film does something that I actually really like. Yeah, I know I'm praising something about this movie after shitting on the last one, but honestly, what they do here is genius. You see, we get to see the events of Zod attacking Metropolis from Man of Steel, but this time in the perspective of Bruce Wayne. he notices the destruction Superman causes when fighting Zod, thus building his hatred towards him. This is a great way to tie in both movies. It's also really cool to see the perspective of a human during the attack because the previous film made them feel so expendable and irrelevant. So having Bruce witness the horrors of Superman battling Zod was an utterly genius way of beginning the movie. Unfortunately, this is the only good thing about this film, as the next few scenes make zero sense. First, we see Lois and Jimmy Olsen getting captured by these goons. She then says this:
Are you a terrorist, General?
Wow, great journalism, Lois. Guys, clap it up for her. Wonder how you thought of that question. They then discover that Jimmy over here is an undercover CIA agent, so they kill him. All hell breaks loose, and Lois gets captured by generic bad guy number 1. Superman pulls up and saves her. Everyone then gets mad at him for it. In fact, there's even a court scene where someone is speaking against his actions. They claim that all he causes is pain and damage, when there would be no evidence of Superman killing them. Last time I checked, Superman doesn't use guns to hurt people. How would any of these people in this frame die to him if they got shot? Now, I know there's an extended version of this film that provides better context behind this scene and other scenes later on, but I didn't want to waste another 30 minutes of my life. Also, they don't add much to the plot. Like, yeah, it makes more sense why they hate him because they show people burning up the bodies, painting him to be a villain. But gang, that still don't explain why he couldn't stop these generic goons in the first place. Why did Lois have to even be included in this? Superman would have just defeated everyone without her there. I solely bring this up because they make it seem like he only pulled up to save her within the next few scenes. Also, Jimmy Olsen! Why is he a CIA agent? He's supposed to be Superman's best friend. Granted, in the latest film, they barely talk to each other, but at least he was more useful in it. This dude over here got less screen time than the Lizard in No Way Home. Following this, we get an even funnier scene. Why is he crawling on the ceiling like he's Spider-Man? We also see him branding his logo onto the person he captured. You see, he does this so the people in jail know who to murder, which means that Batman is practically secondhand killing people. Last time I checked, Batman doesn't kill anyone. It's one of his morals of being Batman. His sole reason of not wanting to murder anyone, good or bad, is because someone took his parents away from him. Why the actual fuck would he set someone up to die? Look, as long as he's not directly murdering anyone or using guns, because that's another thing he hates because of the loss of his parents, the Snyder, I can let this one slide. Oh, come on! Snyder, you couldn't keep one aspect about the Batman character? Literally, Batman in this film acts more like G.I. Joe than Batman. Why am I surprised? This is the same dude that made Superman in Emotion.
Sociopathic killer in the last movie.
Speaking of psychopaths, we soon see Superman reacting to the news that Batman is branding his targets so they die in prison, thus fueling his hatred for the Caped Crusader. Now this brings us to another gripe I have with this movie. Both Batman and Superman hate each other for the same reason. They both don't like that they kill people. It's so hypocritical that it makes Walter White seem like a saint. It was a perfectly good reason for Batman to hate Superman, but gang, why is he gonna get tied up, bro, if he's out here acting like the next John Wayne Gacy? These writers really couldn't craft a better reason why they despise each other? Following this, we get introduced to Lex Luthor, played by Jesse Eisenberg, and honestly, I don't have much to complain about him. He acts like how you'd expect a typical tech giant who's in their early 20s to act. His hatred for Superman is fairly on point, which is a plus. And truly, he's kind of funny at times.
It's cherry.
Like, bro, what is he doing? If I did that to my boy, I'd get speared harder than Speed did. Regardless, he tells these government officials that he discovered kryptonite. Yeah, I know, shocking. So he basically wants to test the kryptonite on Zod's body as he knows that it could damage Kryptonians. They oblige, and Lex starts doing some Jeffrey Dahmer level stuff. From here, not much happens with our quote-unquote heroes. All you get is edgy, unsaturated filth because, you know, it's a Zack Snyder film. This becomes even more apparent when all people do in this film is provide useless exposition and complain about the world. At this point, I might as well watch a 90-minute documentary about the political or economical state of the world right now. Anyways, Bruce attends this event Lex is hosting so he can steal data or something. But uh-oh, Superman is there reporting. Do y'all feel the tension rising? Because I don't. Whilst they're there, we get our first introduction to Wonder Woman as she's staring at Bruce. The DCEU did this thing where they had a thing for each other for some reason. I know in the DCEU they did it there, and it felt pretty natural, but here it just feels so forced. Oh, you may be asking why Wonder Woman isn't a Batman vs Superman film? Well, to answer your question,
My money. Yeah!
See, this film was supposed to be the quote-unquote introduction to the Justice League, hence the subtitle, Dawn of Justice. I don't know why they couldn't just give each hero their own respective movie instead of playing catch up to Marvel, but money. Anyways, during this event, we get our first interaction between Bruce and Clark. They yap for a bit, and Bruce says he hates freaks who dress up like clowns, even though bro dresses up like a bat and crawls on ceilings. Alfred then tells Bruce that the data has been collected because clearly that's something we all cared about. But, oh wait, Superman has super hearing! He knows Batman is Bruce Wayne! So he follows him downstairs but gets sidetracked as there is a kid in a burning building. Giselle then continues to stalk Bruce. She continues to be mysterious and leaves. Then we get a montage of the world trashing on Superman. I'm sorry, but they did have no reason to be doing this when they're showing clips of this dude saving lives. Snyder tried to do a similar thing that Gunn did where Superman did good but didn't acknowledge the political aspect behind his actions. However, it just falls flat when everyone is complaining about that when he's saving people from floods or explosions. Huh. Actually, now that I think about it, it is pretty realistic. You win this time, Snyder. Bruce then begins to decrypt the data he stole. While that happens, he falls asleep and has a dream. Batman, no! Eventually, he wakes up and learns that Lex is getting kryptonite shipped to him from this ship. He plans to steal it so he can use it to murder Superman. Cause you know, that's the sole purpose of this film. Whilst this happens, Clark gets these images of what Batman does to his victims. Ooh, so mysterious. Wonder who sent him those images. It's definitely not Lex. He definitely doesn't have any particular reason why he want the two to fight each other. Definitely not. So Batman pulls up to the shipping site. They begin driving away and, oh look, it's the car from Rocket League. Jokes aside, the Batmobile actually does look pretty cool in this movie. Good job, Snyder. Here, have a cookie. Batman then does a bunch of stuff he would never do. Eventually, he gets interrupted by Superman. Oh no! Is the movie going to end? Are they gonna fight? Nope. Instead, we have another hour and a half left in the movie. All Superman does here is threaten Batman and leave. Which, if anything, gives more of a reason as to why Batman hates Superman. All Clark had to do is show up in a calm manner and explain his side, and Bruce could have understood. But nah, show up like a nonchalant dreadhead and threaten the guy that wants you dead. Great plan, Clark. Nonetheless, Lex receives the kryptonite, but Bruce puts a tracker on the truck, meaning that he'll receive it later. After, Lois learns that Lex was behind the attack in the beginning of the movie. Whoa, didn't see that coming! Superman then pulls up to court to explain what he did in that desert scene. Then we get the second funniest scene in the whole movie. Why is he just standing there aura forming? Those Auraman edits were true, bro. This don't even feel like Superman. Clearly, he knew something was wrong in this scene, so why didn't he do anything? Also, Clark should have cried during this scene. Imagine this was James Gunn's Superman, bro. He would be on his knees bawling his eyes out if this happened to him. Why the fuck is he just standing there like a mannequin? Then Superman wonders why the people hate him. This is why. Bro doesn't even act human. He's just an emotionless rock. Wednesday Addams shows more emotion than Clark Kent in this movie. From here, Batman despises Superman, causing him to steal the kryptonite from Luthor. He creates a weapon out of it and trains for battle. After this happens, he notices on the drive he stole from Lex that there's information regarding Wonder Woman. He learns her true identity and does nothing with it. Yeah, I don't know. They gave up by this point. Regardless, here we are. Batman is finally prepped to fight Superman. He even got a new suit, which, to be honest, looks pretty fire. Snyder, have another cookie. Whilst this happens, Lex kidnaps Superman's mother and Lois. He throws Lois off the roof to catch Superman's attention. He catches her and he swiftly flies back to the roof, where Lex reveals that Superman fighting Batman was his plan all along. Shocking, right? He then tells him that in order to save his mom, he has to kill Batman. So he heads over to Gotham. Here we are, the big fight, the moment this entire film has been building up towards. Who will come out on top? The Timu Arkham Knight or the Man of Nonchalance? Let's check it out. Okay, Bruce, you gotta lock in. Wait, he's coming back! It might be a sweep, you guys! Wait, didn't they say kryptonite was poisonous? How is he getting up so easily? Gosh, this movie can't even keep its own canon. Oh no, y'all! Bruce making a comeback! Yo! Nah, Superman, you're getting messed up! So yeah, basically, Batman bodies Superman and is about to stab him with a kryptonite spear. However, this happens.
You are never even a man. You're letting him kill Martha. What does that mean? Why did you say that name?
You're telling me that I spent almost 2 hours for this film's resolution to be Batman not killing Superman because their moms share the same name? Gang, was this written by a 2-year-old? Why couldn't they just make it so Batman sees the humanity in Superman? It would have saved everyone's time and money. Bro, if I saw this in theaters, I'd instantly run out the theater faster than Sonic. You know, for a movie that's titled Batman vs. Superman, they have a hard time conveying the main plot they're marketing. If I'm being honest, the fight wasn't even that crazy, as everything felt so stiff and unsatisfying. The whole match lasted like 3 to 5 minutes. Why did they market this film as if they'd fight for the whole movie? Bro, no wonder why this film has a 28% on Rotten Tomatoes. Unfortunately, y'all, this isn't the end. Since during the whole Batman and Superman narrative, Lex was summoning Doomsday. How did he know how to do this? 'Cause plot. So now, our heroes have to work together to defeat him. From here, the next 30 minutes are a fever dream. Batman decides to save Superman's mom while Superman handles Doomsday. This is when we get the coolest Batman fighting scene throughout the whole film. Murdering and shooting aside, this fight scene was amazing. It almost made up for the shit show this film was. However, they ruined it once he saved his mom. Just see for yourself.
Okay. I'm a friend of your son's.
I figured. The cape?
First of all, weren't y'all just beefing? How are y'all friends? Second, what do you mean you figured? Batman's cape has no resemblance to Superman's. Oh, so apparently all it takes to be Superman's friend is to wear a cape. Oh shit. I guess she was onto something. Anyways, Superman makes his way to Lex. However, he was too late and Doomsday is free on Earth. Superman then punches Doomsday to space, they fight, then the US military solves the problem in the typical American way, by nuking them. Doomsday survives and Batman takes him to Gotham. He does this because he realizes that the kryptonite spear can kill him. However, Doomsday is about to defeat Batman. But wait, someone saved him? Who could it be? Wonder Woman, wow, she's in this movie? Is what the writers think we'd say. Instead, we just don't care. Superman then comes down to help Wonder Woman and Batman. Whilst this is happening, we get Lois trying to retrieve the spear as she threw it into this pool of water earlier. I swear, she's the worst part of these films. Like, man, I get it, she's Superman's girl, but they couldn't give her any interesting plotline. They practically just gave her a plot device and made the challenge to retrieve it harder by her own doing. All she does is put herself in danger for no reason. Rant aside, Superman then asks about the spear, to which I have no clue how he knew that's what they needed. Following that, this happens.
She with you?
I thought she was with you.
The Tainted Three then start attacking the Timu Abomination. But oh no, Lois is in trouble! Thus causing Superman to save the nuisance. He also retrieves the spear, weakening him. Superman then decides to sacrifice himself as he rushes towards the Iron Golem. He stabs them, and Doomsday stabs him as well, thus causing the death of not only Doomsday, but Superman as well. This was honestly a sad moment. It almost made me shed a tear. Until you realize that this is his second movie in this universe. Why did they rush him dying and not flesh out his character more? Especially knowing Warner Brothers wanted a cinematic universe similar to Marvel. Killing him off here makes no sense. Somehow, someway, Fantastic Four 2015 has a proper storyline compared to this utter garbage. The heroes then press F to pay respects. Afterwards, a funeral is held for Clark. The film then ends as Lois walks away from the gravestone, truly putting such an icon to rest. Wait, he's alive in the Justice League? What was the point of this then? So yeah, that was Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman. Clearly, both of these films were some of the worst Superman media I have ever consumed. The failure of these films solely derives from the concepts behind them, as they don't embody the characteristics that make these heroes special. The fact that I had to sit and watch both of these films when the trash writing was barely funny was truly a sight to bear. So if you made it this far into the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I'd very much appreciate it. I know I sounded like I was a comic purist throughout the whole video, but trust me, I'm not. You can have your own interpretations of these characters. In fact, I encourage directors to do so because seeing alternate versions of these characters is cool to me. However, when you're having someone like Superman go against his main moral, it crumbles the whole narrative. Not only that, having your main hero die in his second movie was an utter joke, especially knowing that they planned more movies for the future. If you're asking me, Man of Steel is the slightly better film as it did have cool action scenes and an overall better story. With that being said, it still fails as a Superman film since he only forms aura for 150 minutes. So I'm giving Man of Steel a 3 out of 10 for that exact reason. We're also putting this in the beautiful filth tier as there were some funny moments, but I'd very much rather watch Karate Kid Legends over this. As for Batman vs Superman, the film did provide us with an unfortunate conclusion. Superman somehow returns in Justice League, Lois continues to be the biggest nuisance since Jar Jar Binks, Batman still disobeys his own values, and Wonder Woman will never stop flirting with Batman. Ultimately, this film gets a 1 out of 10 as the plot and characters feel so disconnected from reality. We're putting this one on the piles of L's tier under War of the Worlds since at least Lois Lane isn't in that movie. Well, that's it for the video, and with October coming up, there's no chance I'll be making one of these, right? What am I watching, bro?